I never imagined a simple mobile device left on my kitchen counter would shatter the life I'd carefully constructed over a decade. I'm Marcus Bennett, working as a data analytics specialist in Portland, Oregon. My job involves transforming complex statistics into digestible insights at a prominent consulting agency. Life seemed perfectly arranged, almost too perfect. A charming bungalow in Hawthorne, an established career, and my wife, Sarah Bennett, heading communications at a thriving property firm. Our paths crossed an industry summit, her infectious personality drawing me in instantly. We'd sketched our tomorrow together. A larger home, perhaps a family. Everything appeared flawless. Until that evening. The night was brisk, with gusts making the window panes shudder. I stood in the kitchen preparing my evening brew when Sarah's phone chimed. She glanced at it, mumbled about an urgent work matter, and rushed out, leaving her device behind. I wasn't trying to pry, but the display illuminated with a message. The Grand Plaza Hotel, 8 p.m. sharp. Make sure Marcus doesn't catch on. My heart sank. Though the contact name was hidden, those words seared into my consciousness. Who could it be? Why the cloak and dagger approach? I remained frozen, coffee forgotten, thoughts spiraling. Could this be an error? Some cruel joke? Or had I been deceived all this time? Before we delve deeper into this unsettling narrative, I'm curious, where are you tuning in from? Leave your location in the comments below. If you're hooked on this story, don't forget to subscribe for more. Your support means everything. I could have confronted her immediately, called her back, demanded explanations. Instead, I waited, analyzing the phone like a crucial piece of evidence. Another message appeared. Don that emerald dress I adore. Suite 315. My fingers trembled as I placed it down. Emerald dress? She'd worn one recently, claiming it was for a corporate event. Another deception? The scenario wasn't adding up, but a disturbing picture was emerging. Her car engine hummed in the driveway, sending my pulse racing. She'd realized her oversight. She'd returned. I returned the phone to its original position, turned away, and resumed pouring coffee, feigning normalcy. The door hinges creaked, and her voice floated in, seemingly innocent. Sweetie, just came back from my phone. Everything all right? Yeah, I muttered, keeping my gaze fixed away from her. Just exhausted. She snatched her phone and vanished again, completely unaware of the emotional tempest raging within me. Sleep eluded me that night. I sat in darkness, dissecting every grin, every late meeting she'd attributed to work demands. Was our entire relationship built on deception? I had to uncover the truth. And believe me, what I discovered next exceeded my darkest fears. That night left me deeply unsettled, but I held back from confronting Sarah. Not immediately. Being Marcus Bennett, I operate on logic and concrete evidence, not mere hunches. As a data analyst, I know better than to make hasty conclusions without thorough investigation. So I dug deeper. After she returned home, retrieved her phone, and kissed me goodnight as if everything was perfectly normal, I waited until her breathing fell into a steady rhythm. Then I crept down to my home office, a compact space filled with documents and my softly humming computer. The house was wrapped in silence, broken only by the refrigerator's gentle drone and occasional creaks from our aging floorboards. I needed concrete answers, and I wasn't going to wait for her voluntary confession. First, I accessed our shared credit card records online. My fingers danced across the keyboard, scrutinizing every transaction. Then I spotted it. A charge from the previous month at the Crystal Room, an upscale restaurant I'd never visited. $300 for dinner. Sarah had claimed she was at a team meeting that evening, sharing takeout with colleagues. Another discovery, a weekend reservation at the Grand Plaza Hotel, right here in Portland, while I attended an out-of-town conference. Then, a floor's payment, $90 for roses delivered to an unknown address. My teeth clenched. Those flowers never reached our home. Each discovery felt like a betrayal, but I persisted, assembling the pieces like a corrupted financial report. I couldn't stop there. Sarah's laptop remained on the dining table, her work email still active. She'd retained her password from our courtship days, a careless habit I once found endearing. Not anymore. I paused, acknowledging this unprecedented invasion of privacy, but that hotel message had already crossed a line. I opened her inbox, bypassing marketing emails and calendar invites. Then I found it, a conversation hidden under an innocuous subject, project status. The sender? James Harrison, her superior. My insides churned. James was Portland's real estate prodigy, early 40s, designer suits, and a calculated charm that spelled ambition. I'd encountered him once at a corporate event, his handshake unnecessarily firm, his gaze lingering on Sarah longer than appropriate. The emails began harmlessly, discussing work-related matters like marketing campaigns and business dinners. But the dynamic changed noticeably 3 months ago. "Can't stop replaying last night," he wrote. "You're making concentration impossible during meetings." Lila responded, "You initiated this. We need to keep it under wraps. Jonas mustn't discover anything." My heart ached as I continued reading. They orchestrated meetings disguised as business travel. One message particularly stood out: a rendezvous at the Elia Hotel a fortnight ago, matching the details from the text. Victor had even shared media, a selfie capturing them in low lighting, Lila beaming while he embraced her. I forcefully closed the laptop, fighting back nausea. This wasn't some casual affair, but a calculated arrangement, a hidden existence running alongside our own. Come morning, I maintained composure. While Lila showered, humming contentedly, I nursed my coffee, staring blankly ahead. Then I caught it, her voice floating through the partially open bathroom door, engaged in a speakerphone conversation. I crept closer, pulse racing. It was Sasha Klein speaking, her longtime friend since university days, a boisterous property agent I'd merely tolerated. "Victor's promised to support my promotion if I maintain this arrangement," Lila stated, water sounds punctuating her words. "Jonas won't catch on. He's too absorbed in his financial analyses." Sasha chuckled. "You're playing it dangerous, honey. Just stay careful." As the call concluded, I retreated to the kitchen, clutching my cup with white-knuckled intensity. A promotion? This was her motivation? Sacrificing our marriage for a career advancement. I struggled to maintain composure afterward. My thoughts raced, processing the revelations. Victor wasn't merely her romantic interest, but her strategic move upward. An ambitious politician eyeing mayoral candidacy, using Lila as both tool and trophy. Beyond heartbreak, I felt rage. This transcended our relationship. It was about his authority, his manipulation. I could choose divorce and retreat to heal, but that seemed insufficient. Victor hadn't just destroyed my marriage, he'd acted like an untouchable puppet master. Having spent years unraveling financial schemes for clever criminals, I knew better. If he wanted to play high stakes, I'd raise them higher. By lunchtime, Lila departed again, muttering something about a client meeting. I didn't challenge her story, nor did I need to. Back at my workstation, I found myself fixated on that damning photograph in the email thread. Their confident expressions ignited something within me. Escape wasn't enough anymore. I wanted to witness their downfall, complete and devastating. My hands lingered above the keyboard as a strategy crystallized. I would investigate further, unearth every skeleton Victor thought he'd buried. Not just Lila's involvement, but his entire operation, his complete universe. My expertise in using data to destroy reputations, honed through client work, would now serve a personal vendetta. And believe me, the revelations awaiting me would prove more than mere infidelity. They were explosive. Following that overheard conversation, I recognized the necessity of infiltrating Victor Hensley's inner circle. I'm Jonas Carver, and discrepancies in numbers demand my attention. When Lila returned that day, radiating false warmth, she extended an invitation to Victor's gathering in Medina, an exclusive neighborhood bordering Lake Washington. "Just a corporate event," she explained, lounging with her wine. "You should join, get to know everyone." I feigned interest while internally celebrating. This wasn't merely a social gathering. It was my gateway into investigating the man orchestrating her deception. The emails, photograph, and lies were just the beginning. I needed ammunition powerful enough to shatter his carefully constructed facade. The party night arrived, and we approached Victor's estate, an imposing fusion of glass and stone commanding waterfront views. Music from a jazz ensemble drifted across manicured lawns, while luxury vehicles created an impressive display. Lila donned that telling red dress, mentioned in his message, her footsteps echoing as we entered. I maintained composure, surveying the assembled guests mingling beneath ornate lighting. Then I spotted him, Victor, entertaining by an elaborate marble fireplace, affecting calculated casualness. He acknowledged us, summoned Lila, and offered me a cursory greeting. "Jonas, welcome," he said, voice deceptively pleasant. "Didn't expect accountants at social functions." A manufacturer's smile. "There are exceptions." Lila wandered off to mingle with colleagues, leaving me to explore unnoticed. I procured a drink, feigning interest while scanning the gathering. That's when she materialized, Nadia Hensley, Victor's offspring. She moved with practiced grace, wearing a form-fitting black dress that accentuated her silhouette, her ebony hair elegantly styled, and eyes penetrating as if they could pierce through deception. A business student at the University of Washington in her early 20s, according to Lila's previous mention. She approached, breaching personal space, and embraced me unexpectedly. Her fragrance enveloped me, exotic and intense. "Jonas," she announced, drawing nearby attention. "Finally, someone worth talking to." She leaned closer, whispering against my ear. "You're not the sole victim of his manipulations." I stiffened, drink suspended midair. "Explain," I murmured discreetly. She withdrew, maintaining a facade of familiarity, though her gaze remained steely. "Come with me," she instructed, gliding toward a secluded corridor. My heartbeat accelerated. Could this be an ambush? Victor's daughter, leading me into isolation? Yet something in her voice, an undercurrent of fury, compelled my trust. I followed her past numerous photographs, displaying Victor with prominent figures, until we reached a book-lined study overlooking the lake. She secured the door and faced me, dropping all pretense. "I'm aware of your wife's involvement with my father," she stated bluntly. "Discovered them last month, entangled in his Bentley-like adolescence." My stomach churned, but I maintained composure. "Duration?" I inquired. "Several months," she replied, arms crossed. "Possibly longer. Caught them again recently, sneaking away after a supposed business meeting." She retrieved a USB drive from a drawer and tossed it my way. "Contains evidence. Pictures, messages, data from his private computer." I examined it, feeling its significance. "Why share this?" I questioned skeptically. Nadia's expression darkened, her voice lowering venomously. "Because I despise him. He's parasitic, always has been. Drained my mother until she shattered, reduced her to a decorative spouse while pursuing countless affairs. She passed away 5 years ago, heart failure, and he continued unaffected. Now he's molding me into his perfect campaign accessory, the beloved daughter of the aspiring mayor. I refused to remain his marionette." I inhaled deeply, comprehending the situation. Victor wasn't merely unfaithful. He was a calculated machine, crushing souls for advancement. And Nadia? She was primed for destruction, ready to incinerate everything. "What's on this?" I inquired, examining the USB drive between my fingers. A knowing smirk crossed her face, accompanied by a calculated glint in her eyes. "More than you'd expect. He's not just conducting affairs. He's involved in corruption. Fraudulent contracts, illicit payments from questionable developers, all channeled into his mayoral campaign. I've been investigating since discovering his involvement with Lila." "You analyze data professionally, correct? I thought you'd know how to utilize this information effectively." My thoughts accelerated. This transcended beyond my marital issues. It was more sinister, more complex. "You want him eliminated?" I stated, gauging her reaction. She nodded with fierce determination. "I want him destroyed, removed from both our lives permanently. We can accomplish this together." I secured the drive in my pocket, feeling a surge of adrenaline. This was invaluable information, raw and unexpurgated, yet perilous. If Victor discovered our plan, we'd become targets. I glanced anxiously at the door, anticipating his sudden entrance, but it remained undisturbed. "How did you acquire this?" I questioned. Nadia positioned herself against the desk, appearing casual yet alert. "He's careless at home, leaves his computer unsecured. I've obtained his passwords, access security footage too. He underestimates me, viewing me as merely his child, not a potential threat." Her laughter carried bitterness. His grave miscalculation. A sudden interruption from the hallway, Lila's voice calling out my name, broke our conversation. Nadia quickly resumed her socialite persona. "Go," she instructed. "Maintain normalcy. We'll communicate soon." I nodded, departing as she unlocked the door. Lila located me moments later, slightly intoxicated and cheerful. "Found you. Let's dance," she exclaimed, pulling my arm. I complied, though my mind fixated on the USB drive, weighing heavily in my pocket. Across the room, Victor entertained some executive, unaware of the impending danger. Nadia caught my gaze through the crowd, our silent agreement confirmed. This transcended revenge. It was warfare. The contents of that drive would alter everything. That USB from Nadia Hensley represented a ticking time bomb in my possession, demanding action. As Jonas Carver, a financial data analyst specializing in untangling complexities, Victor's empire was about to become my primary focus. Later, driving Lila home, her work-related chatter faded into background noise while I maintained perfunctory responses. My thoughts dwelled on Nadia's revelations, her evidence, her determination. She provided me with ammunition, and I intended to deploy it, not merely to terminate my marriage, but to permanently destroy Victor's political aspirations. Rather than public scandal, I preferred precision, a calculated, silent strike through his financial infrastructure. The following morning, Lila remained asleep, her crimson gown discarded carelessly on the floor like a forgotten deception. I secluded myself in my office, shutting out the world behind drawn blinds, with only my computer's steady hum breaking the stillness. Upon inserting the USB drive, I discovered a treasure trove of incriminating evidence. Surveillance images captured Victor and Lila in compromising situations. Grainy footage showed them sneaking into his private office during late hours, and a folder marked VH Private contained damning information. Within were contract PDFs, numerous documents linked to a shell corporation named Pinnacle Holdings. I meticulously analyzed the data, connecting various names and timestamps. Developer payments, artificially inflated invoices, funds redirected to a Cayman Islands account. This wasn't petty theft. These were millions orchestrating his mayoral campaign. My heart pounded as realization struck. This extended beyond infidelity into serious fraud territory, carrying potential decades of imprisonment. I required a foolproof strategy. Divorce was inevitable, but I intended to dismantle Victor's empire completely. Using a disposable messaging app, I contacted Nadia cryptically. "Meet me at the pier noon. Bring ideas." Her response was immediate. On it. At Pier 57, tourists filled the waterfront, seabirds circled overhead, and the Ferris wheel rotated leisurely. Nadia arrived disguised in a hooded sweatshirt and shades, resembling an undercover operative rather than a student. She joined me on the bench, carrying a backpack. "You examined everything?" she whispered. "Every detail," I confirmed. "He's finished if we execute this correctly." Her expression showed excitement tinged with determination. "I want total destruction," she declared. "Beyond imprisonment, his reputation, his heritage." I agreed, sharing her intensity. "Direct publicity isn't optimal," I explained. "Too complicated. I become the pitiful spouse in news stories. We target his finances, alert federal authorities, let them handle the rest." Nadia retrieved a sleek laptop from her bag. "I've uncovered more," she revealed. "Accessed his cloud storage yesterday. Observe this." She displayed a spreadsheet documenting bribe payments from Carl Russo, a prominent developer with criminal history. The dates aligned perfectly with permit approvals from Victor's firm. We had found our decisive evidence. We deliberated for the next hour, our voices barely audible beneath the pier's bustling atmosphere. The plan crystallized. I would compile and analyze the evidence meticulously, then forward it to Trent Baxter, my former college roommate now working at the IRS. Nadia would ensure our digital anonymity, erasing any traces of our investigation. However, a significant concern emerged. I voiced my worry about Victor's connections despite his carelessness. If he caught wind of our scheme, we'd face severe consequences. Nadia's response was a confident smirk with an unsettling edge. She assured me his attention was consumed by media appearances and mentioned his impending San Francisco trip with Lila. This presented our opportunity. Though Lila's name stirred unease within me, I suppressed it. Perfect timing, I agreed, committing to action. At home, I maintained my facade. Lila arrived that evening, preparing for her journey. "San Francisco," she announced, carelessly tossing garments into her luggage. "Victor's finalizing a major deal, and I'm essential to the process." Her proud smile reflected complete ignorance of my orchestrated downfall. I reciprocated with a forced grin. despite my internal turmoil. "Sound promising," I offered. "Show them what you've got." She planted a kiss on my cheek, which took considerable effort not to dodge. Following her departure the next day, I immersed myself in the task, spending countless hours examining the USB contents and Nadia's additional files, constructing an irrefutable case. By midnight, I'd assembled a comprehensive outline of Victor's illegal activities, both clear and condemning. I sent Trent a message through an encrypted channel. "Urgent review needed. Contact me." Then came a heart-stopping moment. While the USB was secured in my locked desk drawer, Lila's half-packed suitcase remained on our bed. My pulse quickened as I realized she'd forgotten something. The front door opened an hour later, confirming my fear. She rushed in, explaining about her forgotten charger while heading upstairs. I followed casually, watching from the doorway as she searched. I anxiously glanced at the desk, hoping she wouldn't investigate. She retrieved her charger, but noticed the USB I'd accidentally left exposed. "What's this?" she inquired curiously. My mouth went dry. "Confidential work project," I explained, moving closer. She examined it skeptically. "It looks outdated. Is it secure?" I grabbed it from her hands, forcing a casual chuckle. "Dependable, like me, despite its age." She flashed a knowing smile, flipped her hair, and made her way out. "See you in a couple of days," she called out as the door slammed shut. I released a shaky breath, my legs trembling as I gripped the drive like a precious lifeline. That was too close for comfort. If she had connected it and discovered those images, our entire operation could have unraveled. I accelerated my efforts afterward, connecting with Nadia through a protected line. She'd successfully accessed Victor's residential surveillance, capturing footage from the previous night of him aggressively directing a subordinate about transferring assets. "He's getting nervous," she reported, constantly checking his phone. "Time is of the essence." Trent call came at first light, his voice strained. "Jonas, this is explosive material. I have an FBI contact who'll be interested. Can you meet tomorrow?" I confirmed, selecting a diner along I-5, away from watchful eyes. Nadia joined us there, her computer running as we prepare the exchange. "We're cutting it close," she warned, scanning each passing vehicle through the window. "If he escapes, the opportunity's gone." I responded with a determined nod. "He won't." Trent arrived, tall and lean in an inexpensive suit, his eyes widening as he reviewed the documents. "This will define my career," he declared, securing a duplicate. "Expect subpoenas within a week, arrests following shortly. Keep a low profile until then." Driving home, city lights streaked past as anticipation and anxiety coursed through me. Lila was away in San Francisco, Victor's time was limited, and Nadia stood ready as my vigilant ally. But pulling into my driveway, my phone vibrated with a message from an unknown sender. "Nice attempt, Carver. I'm aware you're plotting something." My heart froze. This wasn't Victor's method, too direct, but someone was observing. I secured the entrances, inspected the windows, and waited in darkness, the USB casting a faint glow on the table. The challenge had begun, and the next step would either be our salvation or our undoing. That mysterious text haunted me throughout the night as I stared vigilantly at the shifting shadows beyond my windows. As Jonas Carver, I meticulously planned Victor Hensley's downfall, but now the tables seemed to be turning. The USB drive mocked me from its place on the table while my thoughts raced uncontrollably. The circle of knowledge was small, just Nadia and Trent, and I believed in their loyalty for the most part. I checked my phone repeatedly, finding only that single haunting message. "Nice try, Carver. I know you're up to something." Though too ambiguous to definitively link to Victor, the timing was suspiciously perfect. With both the IRS and FBI closing in, waiting wasn't an option. Dawn found me jittery from excessive coffee and mounting paranoia, restlessly moving through the house. Lila remained unaware in San Francisco, while Nadia maintained radio silence following our strategic meeting with Trent at the diner. Suddenly, my phone lit up with breaking news. FBI raids Seattle real estate firm over fraud allegations. I switched on the television to find live coverage of federal agents in windbreakers swarming Victor's downtown office, emerging with box after box of evidence. Through the static, a reporter's voice announced, "Initial sources connect this to campaign funding irregularities involving a mayoral candidate." While no arrests have been made, developments are ongoing. My pulse raced. Events were unfolding more rapidly than anticipated. Opening my laptop, I accessed Nadia's compromised feed from Victor's home security system. The screen stuttered before revealing him in his study, pacing frantically with a phone pressed to his ear, his appearance disheveled, tie missing, shirt open, perspiration visible. His muffled yet panicked voice carried through. Contact Russo immediately. Those hard drives must be secured. I erased them. I allowed myself a small smile. Knowing those drives were meaningless, Trent held the real evidence. Suddenly, he halted, seemed to stare directly into the camera, as if sensing my presence, and disconnected it. As the screen darkened, a shiver ran down my spine. Though destabilizing, he remained a threat. Lila's call came an hour later, her voice trembling through the phone speaker. "Jonas, what's happening? The FBI is here, questioning everyone about Victor." I can hear complete mayhem, doors banging, people yelling. I maintained my composure, cold calculation in my response. "Not sure," I replied. His business dealings might have backfired. Her breakdown was audible, raw, and uncontrolled. They're talking about massive fraud, millions of dollars. I'm trapped in a meeting room. They won't release me. I visualized her disheveled state, desperately clinging to that crimson dress. "Please," she pleaded. "I need you here, come get me." I deliberately let the silence stretch. "Can't help," I stated. "Dealing with my own situation. Handle it yourself." I terminated the call, cutting off her desperate appeals mid-sentence. The divorce documentation was dispatched that afternoon, priority delivery to her hotel. I prepared everything, signed and ready, awaiting this precise moment. Enclosed was a digital file containing carefully selected photos of Nadia and those damning emails showing Victor embracing her, their relationship exposed in writing. My attorney included a terse note. "Prenup nullified by infidelity. Your choice, sign or contest." I wasn't interested in her remorse, just her departure. Her number appeared again on my phone, but I ignored it, letting it vibrate beneath the television's noise. Victor appeared on screen, footage from an earlier press briefing, deflecting questions with a strained smile. "No comment," he'd repeated, but terror radiated from his eyes. The final confrontation arrived unexpectedly. I was reheating dinner when the doorbell chimed. Expecting media personnel, I checked through the blinds, but found Sasha Klein, Lila's outspoken friend. She burst in as I opened the door, swinging her handbag aggressively. "You absolute monster," she screamed, flushed with anger. "You orchestrated this whole thing, destroying Lila's life." I stood unmoved, arms crossed. "She destroyed it herself," I countered. "The affair with Victor was her choice." Sasha momentarily faltered, then recovered, pointing accusingly. "She's devastated because of you. I just spoke to her in San Francisco. She's completely broken." I moved closer, my tone razor sharp. "She's devastated because she got caught. You were in on it, weren't you? Helping cover it up?" Sasha recoiled, guilt flashing across her features, but she remained defiant. "You're being ridiculous. She just needed a career boost. Victor promised her everything." I released a cold, bitter laugh. "And you encouraged her every step. Tell me, Sasha, did you arrange the hotel bookings too?" Her eyes widened before narrowing dangerously. But before she could retaliate, a car horn blared outside. She shot me a venomous glare before rushing out, leaving the door swinging. I slammed it shut, the sound reverberating through the house. That's when I caught it, a subtle rustling from the backyard. Grabbing my flashlight, I crept to the window and spotted a hooded figure darting past the fence. Too tall to be Nadia, too quick for any neighbor. My chest tightened. Someone was watching me, making no effort to hide it. I made a brief call to Nadia. "Check the surveillance," I instructed. "Someone's here." She swore, keyboard clicking rapidly. "Nothing current," she reported, "but last night, someone cased your property. Dark jacket, face concealed. Probably Victor's enforcer." I clutched the phone, thoughts whirling. "He's desperate," I muttered. "Retaliating. Stay alert." She promised to investigate further, but I was already moving, securing the USB in a floor safe I'd installed years before. The television broadcast updated. Victor in handcuffs at his Medina estate, cameras swarming. The reporter announced gleefully, charges include fraud, bribery, and money laundering. Additional charges pending. I collapsed onto the couch, adrenaline subsiding, but unease persisted. Lila messaged then, words spilling out. Jonas, I was foolish. I love you. We can fix this. I deleted it without responding. Though my lawyer confirmed she'd signed the papers, her message reeked of manipulation. Sasha's outburst echoed in my mind, her inadvertent admission about Lila's scheme. And that yard intruder, an unresolved threat. Victor might be captured, but he wasn't finished, not while his people tracked me. I secured every entrance, inspected every window, and waited in darkness, flashlight ready. The boss had fallen, but danger still lurked, poised to strike. The news of Victor's arrest rocked Seattle, but something told me we weren't done with the aftershocks. I'm Jonas Carver, and I'd orchestrated his downfall, watching from the shadows as FBI agents led him away while Lila signed away their marriage. That evening, gripping my flashlight in the darkness, I sensed another threat looming. Someone had been lurking in my yard earlier, now gone but not forgotten. Sleep evaded me as I listened to every sound the house made, finding solace only in knowing my safe remained secure beneath the floors. As morning broke, my instinct screamed that staying put wasn't an option. The media circus exploded the following day. Victor's face dominated every news outlet, his once confident smirk replaced by a defeated gaze. Journalists were having a field day exposing Pinnacle Holdings connections to city officials. His political aspirations had evaporated, and his empire was crumbling. Trent called, his excitement palpable through the phone. Jonas, we got him, he declared. He's taking a plea deal, looking at 15 years minimum. Charges include fraud, bribery, everything. Even tracked down Russo, who's cooperating fully. I let out a heavy breath, feeling both relieved and uneasy. That's good news, I replied. Any threats we should worry about? Trent hesitated. Nothing concrete, he answered. But stay alert. Men like him have long memories. His words echoed in my mind as I packed my belongings, contacted a realtor about the Ballard property, and checked into a sophisticated hotel near Pike Place, losing myself among the tourists. Though Lila's messages had ceased, a forwarded letter found me. Reading it in my room, with market aromas wafting in, I noticed her trembling penmanship. Jonas, forgive me. I chased illusions, losing you and everything else. Starting fresh in Boise now. Hope you find your peace. The signature was smudged with what looked like teardrops, but I remained unmoved. She'd abandoned our life for Victor's empty promises, and now she was working a retail job at her aunt's place, her glamorous career in ruins. I discarded her letter, her belated remorse meaningless to me now. Then Nadia reached out, her voice strained through the phone. Meet me at the university, she urged. Something's not right. I drove to UW, navigating through the bustling campus, and found her tucked away in a secluded corner of the library, her laptop displaying a paused security recording. Watch this, she said, gesturing to the screen. 2 nights ago, at my father's property, someone in dark clothing breached the gate, searching the garage before police arrived. Matches the description of a yard intruder. My stomach churned. Victor's locked up, I muttered. Who could this be? Nadia's expression hardened. Probably hired help. He left me a threatening message yesterday, raving about disloyalty. Promised we'd suffer. The revelation sent chills down my spine. Victor might be in prison, but his influence persisted. I dialed Trent immediately. Investigate his connections, I instructed. Someone's acting on his behalf. Trent swore under his breath. I'm on it, he assured me. Stay hidden until I contact you. Nadia and I parted ways. She to her dormitory, I to my hotel sanctuary, but anxiety plagued my thoughts. That evening, I jolted awake to a noise outside my room, pulse racing. Armed with a lamp, I inched toward the door and peered through the peephole. A figure moved briefly before disappearing down the corridor. On the floor lay a crumpled message. Withdraw or face consequences. I secured the deadbolt, my heart pounding. The ordeal wasn't finished. A few days passed before Trent's confirmation arrived. Victor had enlisted a mercenary, Denny Pike, prior to his capture. Pike proved careless, apprehended while federal agents monitored Russo's associates. The intimidation ceased, but irreversible changes had occurred. Victor's organization crumbled, his business closed, his supporters dispersing. Nadia liquidated her mother's inheritance, established a boutique consulting practice, and recruited me for occasional projects. I sold my property, secured a substantial profit, and relocated to a penthouse overlooking Puget Sound. My firm elevated me, christening a new fraud division with my name after media outlets credited me with dismantling a criminal enterprise. Lila vanished into Boise's obscurity, her professional life extinguished by her own decisions. Sasha made one final appearance, confronting me at a Westlake cafe. She appeared exhausted, her confidence shattered. "You ruined her," she accused, voice wavering. I sipped my coffee, unmoved. "She ruined herself," I replied. "You were complicit." Sasha recoiled before disappearing into the crowd. Reports later revealed her client base had dwindled, her reputation marred by association. Victor's sentence extended to 20 years after Pike's testimony revealed additional crimes. His story became a warning, whispered throughout corporate corridors and local establishments. Gazing down at Seattle's twinkling skyline from my penthouse, I reflected on the devastating price of deception. Lila's pursuit of an illusion cost her everything: her career, her marriage, and ultimately, her self-respect. Victor's insatiable hunger for control became his downfall, stripping him of power, freedom, and everything he'd fought to possess. Sasha's willing participation in the scheme proved her undoing, tarnishing her reputation beyond repair. As for me, I lost the life I believed was authentic, but gained something more valuable: an unwavering clarity born from betrayal. The upheaval transformed me, leaving me more resilient and independent than before. The message resonated powerfully. Deception doesn't merely shatter trust. It systematically destroys lives, careers, and futures, creating wreckage impossible to escape. Embrace truth despite its sting, because concealing it only leads to deeper destruction. The story concludes here. Did this ending meet your expectations, or was unexpected? Share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this narrative, please like and subscribe for future stories. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next adventure.